So last year we got Spider-Man Homecoming, this year we got Into the Spider-Verse, and next year we're gonna get Far From Home. It's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan. My name is Daidarius and welcome to the review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse takes place in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. It's not that important that it takes place there, just that some new storyline aspects is gonna get implemented into this. But anyway, let's jump into the story. So we have Miles Morales, who is this young dude who's going through a bit of a rough time throughout his life. He has changed school because he is awesomely clever, so he's going to a public school or something, so a school for gifted children, but he doesn't really feel like he belongs there, and he's have a bit of a fallout with his dad. He's not really connecting with his father, and unfortunately he gets bitten by a radioactive spider. You know, we know the story. He gets bitten by a radioactive spider. He begins to have some Spider-Man powers, and he doesn't really understand what's going on. Then later on, for some fucked up reason, he gets intertwined with Kingpin's dimensional collider. It's a thingy-maduty who connects to other dimensions, and here he meets Spider-Man, and then some other spider people gets drawn into our dimension, and then the portal closes, and then finds out that he needs to make sure that this dimension collider thingy gets shut down, because if it doesn't and Kingpin's fired up again, it's pretty much gonna tear apart every dimension connected to it. So it's a bit of a complicated storyline, but what we do get is we get a Spider-Man origin story for Miles Morales, and that is a pretty funny one. So let's just jump into what I liked about this movie. This movie is, the plot is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. He's gonna get some information to shut down this thing while being trained as a Spider-Man, because he meets this older Spider-Man dude called Peter B. Parker, who has been Spider-Man for 22 years or something, and he's a bit of a fat, lazy bum, but he still got this Spider-Man finish. I'm just gonna jump into what I liked about this movie, because it's not really gonna benefit that I tell you about the story. You need to experience this. So what did I like about this movie? First of all, the cast. The cast and the characters are excellent. What I liked about this movie is the fact that they made every character feel real and humane. Even the villains. And I know there are some cartoon villains in there, and they're not given that much time to show what they really are and given time to develop. But for the most part, for the most genuine villains, those that are most present, have most impact on the story, they actually feel real. They feel like real human beings who have ambition, who has flaws, and just trying their best to accomplish their given goal. And just the way that these actors are delivering their voices to these characters and the way they're animated feels like you're actually seeing a real movie, even though that you're not. It is completely animated. It just had some reality to it, and I really appreciated that, especially given the fact that this movie is, the style of this movie is insane, which is the next thing I want to touch upon. This movie style, I want to see more of this given style in animation movies, especially when you are giving life to a comic book that exists or is just inspired by comic book movies, because wow! Before this movie, the only really comic book movie we had was Ang Lee's The Hulk. I don't like that movie. I mean, it tries too hard to be ambiguous and serious, and it just wants to be kind of an art piece, but doesn't really go through any of these aspects. But it did have that awesome showing of panels, and I like that in the movie. But here, holy shit, it is like you're seeing a comic book on the screen that somehow is a movie. I mean, it uses text boxes, it uses narration boxes, it uses sound effects, it uses small lines to indicate heat or smoke or coughing or whatever it is. I just love the style in this. The style is just, it's a piece of art. That's what I'm gonna say. This is a piece of art. I mean, I wholeheartedly mean it. This is a piece of art. This is a piece of heart. Don't know if they went to the bush or anything just to get a heart, but they cut a piece of it. This is this movie. That's the piece of a heart. No, it's a piece of art. I mean, holy shit, the style is just perfect. You're just drawn into this movie with the style, with the aesthetics, with the story, with the characters, with the sound design, and just the way these characters work together is magnificent. Yes, there are... How many spider people are in this? You have Miles Morales, so you have that guy. You have the original guy, you have the old guy, you have the girl, you have the other girl, you have the gloomy guy, you have the pork guy. 7 people total, so there's 7 Spider-Man in this, Spider-Men, but those 2 are girls, so spider people, I'm gonna go with spider people in this movie. So of course we're not gonna focus on all of them. There are some who's just background side characters, but I don't mind it because what they do to the story is it gives it more humor, but it also kinda ups the stakes for this movie. The only problem is that they take so much backseat that for the most part you don't really realize they're not part of the movie except of a few scenes. And that's especially Spider-Man Noir. I wanted to see more of him because he is the best. I mean, at some point in the movie he narrates that sometimes he just lets a match burn all the way to his fingers just so he can feel something. Jesus, man, I know. So that is one of the problems with the movie, is the fact that it doesn't really let the other spider people time to shine. And there are some of them who are quite interesting. And I wanted to know more about them, but I don't really have the chance. So you're just gonna make do with what we got. And even though that is a problem, and this movie does have problems, I'm just gonna jump around it. So one of the problems that I have this movie is the fact that these characters doesn't get enough time to grow. The other thing is the development with the dad could have been better. It is still done extremely well, but there could have been more progression to it. I also like the development with the uncle being more fluently. There's just some part in this movie that might shock people, and I just wish they have spent more time developing that with the genuine characters to have the more impact. But still, this movie knew how to tug my heartstrings, because it does have some few scenes in there who actually makes you almost tear up. It's just the way they sell the scene, just the build up, the way the direction is, the way the story is told, shot, acted, everything just come together to just show you something raw and intimate and emotional. That's pretty much this movie summed up, because even though this is one of the funniest movies I have seen all year long, it still had what I want from most movies, and that is heart. And this movie has heart. It really has the heart in the right place. It makes sure that there's a lot of Easter eggs thrown in the background. It also makes sure that it is respectful for the source material. But more than anything else, it makes sure that it has the heart of the story, the heart of the characters in center, and builds the story around it, and makes you really emphasize and feel for these characters. Even the bad guys' motivation for doing this, you understand it. Yes, it is insane, but you understand the reason why, and it's just the way it respects everything in this movie that's just blowing me away. The only other problem I might have with the movie is that the pacing is not as fluent as I wanted it to be. It is very choppy. There are some aspects it's focuses on too much, and other aspects doesn't focus on enough, especially for what it wants to pay off in the end of the movie. And then there's the fact that the way Miles is gonna learn to use his abilities is, I will say, an ass pull, because it is the oldest trick in the book. It is a cliche, and it is just the lazy writing. That's pretty much the only issues I have with the movie. And that is not a lot. I don't have much more to say about this movie. The thing is, I'm quite torn about what rating I'm gonna give this movie, because it is not the best movie I have seen this year. You will get your top 10, unfortunately, first next year. So I'm sorry about that. But this is not the best movie I've seen this year. But I just have to accept that even though it's not the best movie I've seen this year, which means it does make sense that it gets a higher rating than the best movie I've seen this year, I have to say that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is an epic masterpiece. It's gonna be fun making the top 10 list, especially since you're not gonna get this movie at the top. I'm not gonna spoil which movie you're gonna get at the top, but this is not gonna be the one, even though it is an epic masterpiece. That's funny somehow. But anyway, I'm gonna explain that when I get to my top 10. And then, yes, I said before, you're not gonna get the top 10 this year, because when I'm supposed to make it, I'm not in the country. I'm somewhere else, so I don't have time to do it. So it's gonna be the first thing I do next year. But it's only gonna include movie I see this year, so don't worry. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see Creed 2 before the end of this year. If I don't manage to do it, I might just see it next year, in the beginning of next year, and then still include it in my top 10 list. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting way off track. So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? And how do you think it rang between genuine superhero comic book movies? And would you like to see more movies implement this kind of animation style? I would. I really would. Not just one-to-one. I mean, they need to do something different about it, but anyways. I need to stop myself. I got stuff to do. So, whatever you think, comment below with your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Spider-Man. Whoop. Spider-Man. Whoop.